Namaskar. I'm here to speak today about this special status that has been apparently abrogated by the government of India with regards to state of Jammu and Kashmir. The Article 370 of the Indian Constitution gives a special status to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, but one has to realize 6, 7 points regarding this. One thing, the circumstances under which this status was given. One has to remember that India was attacked at that time. The state of Jammu and Kashmir at that time, under the King Hari Singh, was attacked by Pakistanis, and so some efforts had to be made, and this was done immediately. Accession took place, but then the process continued. Obviously, he had not readily agreed to access to India. So then he only did this under the attack conditions. So, but the Article 370 was really not part of that instrument of accession. It was introduced later with negotiations. So this is not actually a part of the instrument of accession, and it's also not part of the original Constitution of India. It was just added later on. It was supposed to be temporary. Number 2 point. Number 3, it was supposed to be debated, discussed, and recommended by a constituent assembly that does not even exist, no longer exists. It ended in late 50s. And it has been used for separatist causes by many, mostly in last couple of decades. It has been used to discriminate, actually, people from within the state of Jammu and Kashmir, especially the lower class people who have not been given jobs and they have not getting positions in government. And also it's a discriminatory against women who, once they get married, they somehow forfeit all their rights to the state. It really makes no sense. Then it's basically an isolationist measure. Doesn't make any sense at all in today's world, when the whole world is connected with each other, that this state wants to live in very isolationist way. Even some of the former communist countries have really opened up. And finally, I think it gives a foreign country like Pakistan to use some of these provisions to instigate terrorist activity. So it makes no sense at all to continue to do. I think the state, the people themselves should have been able to change this, demand this, should have done it a long time ago. Now the problem that has, in my opinion, that has been perhaps not completely resolved is with the change. The change is apparently introduced, or the presidential order was given by using Article 370's provision 3, which allows president to make changes. While the Article 370 still exists, in the future, it just question of somebody else who comes back and says, well, no, I want to reintroduce, or maybe even worse, may reintroduce something more dark measures than what we have had so far. So I think that I'm not very sure that I understand why that was done. The other thing is that a special status is not that bad thing. It's just this kind of a special status is perhaps not desirable and are acceptable to people. The special status could be, there are several states actually, I think some of them have it, like northeastern states, but also is being very heavily demanded by some states like Bihar, Andhra Pradesh. Actually, they have had some parting the ways with the current ruling Bhajpa Sarkar. And so because they want to have a special status. I wonder why we couldn't just simply use this opportunity to provide the special status to not only some of the states that are asking for, but perhaps all the states. Why shouldn't India is a very diverse country. There is no other country on this earth which is as diverse as India. So there are, and the states were created based on, as an example, based on their linguistic practices linguistic differences. So we already have diversity. There is a special language, for example, every state has, or pretty much every state has. So we should recognize that. We should recognize the language, they give them special status, but the special status for something positive, for a special culture, for example, because India is a very diverse culture. So one could give a special culture, a special status for their monuments, one could give a special status for skills, one could give a special status for language, or they can identify based on their geography and weather and other conditions, based on their thrust areas. They can define some thrust areas and then get a special status for that. In my opinion, this opportunity, and not necessarily the particular constitutional provision or whatever, but this opportunity could be used for positive things where one could get a special status by defining the kind of their dresses, the kind of their food, especially different kind of cuisines and dishes, their kind of festivals. All over India, they are very different. Their temple, their mosques, their churches, they could have a special status for that, or the special kind of sports they may have. I think that will be very positive. There could have a special areas of focus that they may have in education, certain types of education, certain types of skills that they may be promoting. Their trading practices, India is full of diversity in free market and trading practices, so they could be recognized for that. Their steps or culture or traditions for protecting the environment, which is very, very important, I think is coming up. Their social justice system that they have, many part of India, actually the thousands of different practices for social justice and harmony they can create. Their creativity, they can define the kind of science and technology they could take a special interest in, and then they can develop that and I think share with the rest of the country and the rest of the world. Also their arts, their music, and many of the other things that they can do, something like their literature. So I think I wish that central government had used, or hopefully I suggest that they use this opportunity while everybody is talking about special status, Article 370. They could use this branding of a special status and give it very positive direction in which every state is able to get a special status, and let there be partnership between the central government and the state governments so that they both do the investing in their special status categories or elements, and then let there be a positive movement in that sense. And maybe they should call it Article 370, or maybe they should just modify Article 370 to reflect something, a special status for every state, and then make it a movement and make it a very positive event rather than an acrimony that many people are expecting. Thank you very much. I hope you support this.